Hey guys, and welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Jenna Phillips, and this is our daily show giving you all the latest news from the world of movies with some insight into what it all means. And joining me, as always, is AMC Editor-in-Chief, Mr. John Campea.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. I'm feeling a little healthier today. I don't know if you could tell yesterday I was sick as a freaking mule, but for you, my international friends, I came in to do the show anyway, but I was so out of it.
You know, I couldn't tell. You did well.
Oh, thank you, Jenna. How are you?
Doing well.
Wonderful.
Glad to be back. And also joining us is the director of the upcoming film, The Death of Superman Lives. What happened? John Schnepp.
Woo!
What's going on?
All right, let's get started. Today is a big news day, coming off a massive $700 million worldwide for Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Paramount Pictures is ready to move forward with a fifth installment of the Mission Impossible franchise and have signed a deal with Tom Cruise to reprise the role of Ethan Hunt once again. Now, there is no word yet on who may direct the film, although there are rumors that Christopher McQuarrie, who directed Cruise and Jack Reacher, will direct, but that is not confirmed yet. John, what do you think of a fifth Mission Impossible movie?
No-brainer. Absolute no-brainer. The fourth film, Ghost Protocol, was the best of the franchise.
I totally agree.
Yeah, and I thought the same thing about number 3. When number 3 came out, I thought, okay, this is the best of the franchise. Now 4 is the best of the franchise. Tom Cruise ain't slowing down. He looks great in the role. Now, the one thing that surprised me a little bit, and it's a pleasant surprise, is that I thought they were setting up that Jeremy Renner and his character were going to take over the Mission Impossible franchise, that he was now going to be the lead character of Mission Impossible. But I think, look, common sense prevailed. People love Cruise in this role. He's the main driving force. He's the senior producer of this whole franchise. This is his baby. It didn't feel right. Now, eventually, Father Time catches up with everybody, and he's going to have to hand it off. But I don't think that time is now. And speaking of Jack Reacher, I think Jack Reacher showed us Tom Cruise can still play a badass on screen. So, yeah, give me one or two more Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible. Schnepp, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm for all for it. I mean, I thought they were going to hand it off to Jeremy Renner too. That's what they seem to be building up, but I'm sure Jeremy Renner will be in this fifth one. I mean, why not? They keep adding to the team. Maybe they'll add another person, but yeah, that last Mission Impossible was so much fun. I'm all for it.
Awesome.
Bring Tom Cruise back.
All right, a new development on the upcoming Western Jane Got a Gun, as it is now being reported that Obi-Wan Kenobi and Queen Amidala are reuniting. Yes, Ewan McGregor has signed on to replace Bradley Cooper, not Bradley, who replaced Jude Law, who replaced Michael Fassbender. John, can you make some sense of this?
Jane Got a Gun is my favorite drama in Hollywood right now, and it's not even a movie yet. I mean, the director doesn't show up for the first day of shooting. Michael Fassbender's playing it, then he's gone, so they get, the guy who's playing the villain to now play the good guy, so they get a new villain in Jude Law. Then Jude Law goes, wait, you just changed directors? I'm leaving. So he leaves. Then they get in Bradley Cooper, who thinks, wait a minute, I forgot I'm golfing on Saturday. And then he leaves. And look, wow, I can't wait to see who leaves next. I am pretty stoked about Ewan McGregor getting the role. I love Ewan McGregor as an actor. I think he is awesome. He can do everything. He can do comedy, he can do drama, he can do action. So I love it, but I anticipate by Friday we're going to be talking about who's replacing Ewan McGregor. So I don't know, Schnepp, is this, I've asked you this before, but I got to ask again, is this thing just doomed? Is this movie just cursed?
It's weird because I just heard that Joel Edgerton got replaced by Liam Neeson. So now all the Clone Wars people are in this Western, and then someone else told me, like, I got a secret text about them replacing all the guns with lightsabers, so I don't know. This is getting really weird all of a sudden,
Fast and Furious 6 star Michelle Rodriguez seems to have confirmed rumors that Jason Statham will indeed be the villain in Fast and Furious 7, and may have let slip that he appears in 6 as well, saying the following: Jason Statham, Vin Diesel, Dwayne Johnson, when you see these guys in a room, you know they belong together, she said. You can see in their eyes that they have gone through a lot. I applaud Universal for getting him on board. Schnepp, what do you think about Jason Statham joining Fast and Furious?
I think it's a great idea. I mean, all the Fast and the Furious movies are action-packed. Jason Statham's a great action star. Makes total sense. Bring him on. But like, start throwing more people in there. Fast and Furious 8, 9, 10. Chock a bunch of people in there. Get the Expendables style for Fast and the Furious. You know?
Yeah, I love this. I've been saying for a very, very long time, for maybe 10 years now, that there are only two legit action stars of our generation. One is The Rock and one is Jason Statham. And we've never seen them on screen together, I don't believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chapboard. But I think this is great. Jason Statham is awesome. He's just awesome. I won't put him in Shakespeare, but other than that, he is incredible. Just one thing I ask. Please, Vin Diesel, I know you're kind of in charge of these movies and whatever, but don't have your character beat Jason Statham's character in a fight. It's too unbelievable. Kind of like the way you had your character beat The Rock's character in a fight. I'm sorry, but that is the one laughable moment of the last Fast and Furious. Like, oh yeah, Vin Diesel beats The Rock in the fight. Yeah, that's really going to happen. So just don't do that, and we're in totally fine ground. As a matter of fact, we do this show at the beautiful AMC Burbank 16 in Burbank, California, and right now they just started an advanced screening of Fast and Furious 6. I'm tempted to go slip in once we're done recording the show. So yeah, I'm all on board for that. Well, listen, folks, we've normally this is the part of the show for buy and sell, but we're doing something a little bit different. Here's what's happening. On yesterday's show, somebody emailed a question talking about maybe trades between Fox, a sports analogy, like sports teams trade players. What if Marvel and Fox or Marvel and Sony traded properties so that you can kind of get more characters into the Avengers universe and whatnot? And I said, look, talking from a sports fanatic point of view, making good balanced trades are tough. So I said, you guys email me trade proposals for Marvel and Sony or Marvel and Fox, or maybe even three ways, whatever. And I was going to pick the best one, and we're going to send you an Iron Man 3 poster. So I thought we maybe get like 20, 30, maybe 40 emails. We got like over 160 trade proposals sent in overnight. I literally spent about 5 hours last night sick laying in my recliner reading all these things. And here's what we're going to do. Obviously, when we get that many emails, a lot of them are repetitive. There's about 10 of them that came up a lot. So I'm going to go down now the list of the 10 most frequently mentioned. This is in no particular order, but the 10 most frequently mentioned trade proposals. And I'm going to tell you what I like about them and what I don't like about them, and then we'll get to the winner. So first of all, this one came in like 5 or 6 times. One trade proposal was Marvel trades Captain America and the Hulk to Fox in exchange for X-Men and Fantastic Four. So once again, the trade is Captain America and the Hulk to Fox in exchange for X-Men and the Fantastic Four. This trade does not work at all for two reasons. One, Captain America is a centerpiece he's the leader of the Avengers. And the Avengers is their #1 box office property. I think some characters are touchable in Avengers. Maybe Hulk is touchable. Maybe Thor is touchable. I'm not saying you should. I'm saying maybe they're touchable. But Iron Man and Captain America are not touchable for Avengers. You have to have them in the Avengers. It's their biggest property. I don't see Marvel parting with them. And also, I just don't see Captain America and the Hulk, which has never been a huge box office success. Captain America has had one solid box office film, whereas X-Men and Fantastic Four have generated tons of money for Fox, so there's no way Marvel's going for it, and there's no way Fox is going for it. Schnepp, do you see it any differently?
Yeah, that's no way. Absolutely not. I mean, X-Men is a giant franchise, but it's never reached what Marvel has done with their Phase 1, like putting all these characters who all have their own standalone movies, and now in their own team movie. So, I mean, X-Men has Wolverine. That's about it. So.
All right, the next one that got mentioned a good 3, 4, 5 times was the idea of Marvel getting Fantastic Four and exchange giving to Fox Daredevil back. Couple things wrong. Okay, number one, if I'm Marvel, yeah, I take this deal in a heartbeat. If I'm Kevin Feige, I get Fantastic Four and all the characters associated with it by giving you Daredevil, a movie I don't really have any plans on making anyway. Deal. But the fact of the matter is, Fox already had Daredevil, and they couldn't get around to making one on their own. So great deal for Marvel, but there's no way Fox would do it. Schnepp?
Totally agree. Let's move on.
All right. Another one that got brought up. About 15 of you guys mentioned the idea. Well, hey, why just comic book characters? Bring Star Wars into it. Star Wars is a major chip. So they suggested Marvel and Disney trading the Star Wars rights to Fox in order to get X-Men and Fantastic Four. The only problem I have with this idea of trading Star Wars for X-Men Fantastic Four is you could trade me Europe for Star Wars, and I'm still taking Star Wars because it will still make me more money. Star Wars will be the ultimate box office money-making juggernaut because it ain't just the movies. It's all the licensing and the toys and the Disneyland World rides that are coming and blah, blah. Disney, I don't know what you would have to give up in order for Marvel and Disney to give up Star Wars, but it certainly ain't X-Men the Fantastic Four. Schnepp?
Right. If you're going to talk about franchises, maybe they can give up Miss Piggy, only one character from the Muppets for X-Men and Fantastic Four. But Star Wars, forget about it. It's not happening.
All right, another one that come up a lot. Here's one. Fox trades X-Men in exchange for Ghost Rider and Blade. So Fox trades X-Men to Marvel, and Marvel gives up Ghost Rider and Blade. Once again, if I'm Marvel, I take this deal in a second. Absolutely, I take this deal in a second. If I'm Fox, I'm asking you what you're smoking. Because it's just no way. X-Men is a huge moneymaker for them. Ghost Rider has had 2 bad movies that have not been box office hits. Blade's last movie was a box office failure, and we haven't had one in a long time. And you don't want a 51-year-old Wesley Snipes coming back to take over the role in a new franchise. It just makes no. So Marvel, absolutely take that deal. Fox, no way will take it. Schnepp?
Yeah, what was the guy smoking who wrote this question? It absolutely never happened. So it's like,
all right, another one that got brought up a lot is this one. X-Men, once again, Fox gives up X-Men in exchange for Hawkeye, Doctor Strange, and Black Widow. Same kind of deal here. If I'm Marvel, I take it in a heartbeat because Hawkeye has never had a standalone film. Black Widow's never had a standalone film, so you don't know if they'd be any value to them whatsoever. And Doctor Strange is a really cool, interesting sounding character, but with no track record. We haven't seen him. We don't know how audiences are going to respond. So there's these 3 unknown properties for this giant juggernaut of a box office machine in X-Men. Makes no sense. Schnepp?
Yeah, you know what? I think a lot of the people who are doing these trades, you're not considering the entire Marvel universe that Disney has. You're just thinking about movies that were made in the last 10 years. Throw in Cloak and Dagger, throw in Hellcat, throw in Iron Fist. I mean, there's like a whole bunch of characters who've never been branded yet by Marvel Disney. That's what I would start thinking about with these trades. It just seems like these are all movies that have happened and big failures to all these companies like Daredevil and Ghost Rider. That's why you never saw another sequel to these. You did see a sequel to Ghost Rider, but they're not on the same class level as X-Men. So you got to get your trades on the right center if you're going to think about like money. So.
Right. All right, here's one. This one had to have been mentioned at least 20 times. Marvel trades the Avengers for X-Men and Fantastic Four. I kid you, maybe 30 times this one got mentioned. So straight up, Avengers goes to Fox, and going back to Marvel's X-Men and Fantastic Four. This might be the worst suggestion ever. If I'm Fox, we're going to play a little role reversal now. If I'm Fox, in a heartbeat, I take this deal. Give me the pen before they change their mind. I'm signing it. But Marvel, Avengers is the biggest comic book movie successful film of all time. It's the second biggest individual film box office wise of all time. And not only is it the Avengers movies, which is making them literally billions of dollars, you've got Iron Man, you got Captain America, you got Hulk, you got Thor, you got all these characters. No way. No way. This is the most lopsided trade deal, aside from maybe the Star Wars one. Avengers straight up for X-Men and Fantastic Four, not a chance. No way that this would ever work. Marvel would never go for this in a million years. And if they ever did, the entire executive staff of Marvel would be fired instantly. Schnepp, what do you think?
Yeah, plus, I mean, doesn't Fox have X-Men? Don't they have like 100 mutants that they're doing nothing with? Couldn't they do something with Cable, make their own Cable movie? Couldn't they do X-Force? I mean, what's wrong with Fox? They're a bunch of idiots for not expanding the brand of all the mutants that they have. They do 1 or 2 Wolverine movies in like 10 years. I mean, that's their fault. I mean, Marvel is really smart. They're like, yeah, we have the Avengers, plus we have all these individual guys that we made millions of dollars with and then put them in this movie called the Avengers. That's what Fox should be doing right now. I don't know what's going on with Fox.
All right, this next one is actually, of all the ones I've mentioned so far, this one is interesting. And it was mentioned a couple of times. Marvel gives up Ant-Man, Falcon, Daredevil, and Black Panther for the rights to X-Men. Now, I still think this is an uneven trade. I don't think I don't think Fox goes for this deal because with X-Men, you have an awful lot of properties. But I think this is one Fox would stop for a second and think about because you got Ant-Man, which is an unproven commodity, but a commodity. You got Falcon. Falcon's kind of a throwaway name in there, really, for movie property rights. Daredevil could be something. To me, the most interesting name, though, in this proposal is Black Panther, which didn't get mentioned a lot in the trades. You could have something pretty good with Black Panther. So I don't think this is a deal that Fox would do. I do think it's a deal Marvel would do, but the X-Men still just outweigh it because there's just too much involved. Schnepp, what do you think of that deal?
If I was Fox, I'd have to wait and see what would happen with the Edgar Wright Ant-Man. So, like, in a couple of years, if Ant-Man came out and just was an incredible comedy, action, superhero, like, hundreds of millions of dollars, then it would, like, levy it up a little bit. Like, all right, we might think about this trade. That's what they'd have to wait and see.
All right, so we get a Sony one mentioned here. This one got mentioned at least 10 times. The proposal is Sony trades Spider-Man to Marvel in exchange for War Machine and Ghost Rider. I wouldn't give you a bag of socks for the movie rights to War Machine and Ghost Rider, let alone a multi-billion-dollar franchise like Sony. Again, if I'm Marvel, I jump on this deal as fast as I can before Sony changes their mind, but there is no way that a Sony gives up Spider-Man for a secondary character in another guy's movie and another character that's had 2 failed movies already. Not a chance. No way. Schnepp?
Yeah, if I was Marvel, I'd be like signing it, not letting the guys out of the room. Like, perfect deal, great, give us back Spider-Man. Thank you. Here's War Machine, and here's a couple extra dudes. We just chucked them in there. You can have them.
All right, this one was mentioned about 5 or 6 times. It's a straight up character for character deal. Marvel gives up Thor in exchange for Sony's Spider-Man. This is an interesting one because Marvel's Thor, while I think their best individual, I think Thor is the best Marvel movie aside from Avengers. I know that's not a popular opinion, but that's my personal opinion. And I think he's flexible with Avengers. I think everybody would rather see Thor in Avengers than not. But out of any of the Avengers who might be flexible, he's one of the guys that might be flexible. But the fact of the matter is, Spider-Man is a money-making machine for Sony. And as a straight-up trade, maybe if it's peppered in a couple of other things with Thor, maybe it becomes more appealing. But I see this one as one that Marvel would hesitantly accept, but Sony would have to reject. I think Sony has to reject this deal. What do you think, Schnepp?
I would have to reject it. Yeah, I mean, the thing about Spider-Man and not being part of the Disney Marvel universe is it actually works. Spider-Man is such a strong character, and he has such strong, his rogues gallery is so incredible that all of these movies, they'll never run out of villains for Spider-Man. So he doesn't actually need any other superhero in his movies. So Thor, on the other hand, he works great individually. I love Thor. I used to read, Thor when I was younger. Like, I'm a big Thor fan, but he also works really well in a team environment. So I don't know. I don't think Spider-Man ever has to go back to Marvel, really. I mean, I'm not crying about it. It's like, hey, just keep making Spider-Man movies. I'm cool with that, and let the Marvel universe grow. And then eventually, I think Sony and Disney will make some deal where Spider-Man can swing in and say something cool and throw some web at some dude's face, and then Captain America will show up for 1 second in a Spider-Man movie. Do some crossover, whatever. Why not?
Yeah, I don't see that ever happening. But all right.
Really?
Let's get down to the number. This is the last one we're due here, and this one was, again, mentioned about somewhere between 5 and 10 times. The idea is Sony giving up Spider-Man in exchange for Deadpool, Blade, and Ghost Rider. The name that makes this trade interesting is Deadpool, because I think a lot of us are wanting to see a Deadpool movie, but we get down to the same situation that we were in before. You've got Deadpool, which is an unknown commodity because we've never had a Deadpool movie except for one really bad appearance in that Wolverine film. We've got Blade, whose last movie was a flop. And we've got the 2 failure of Ghost Rider films. No way. Sony doesn't go for this. Not a chance. So I'm not even going to throw this one over to Schnepp because I know exactly what he's going to say about this one. Also not a chance. But let me get to...
Hey,
go ahead,
one thing
Schnepp.
I was going to say, though, John, is that Ryan Reynolds was both in Blade, The Last Blade, and Deadpool. He played Deadpool.
Oh, that's right. He was Hannibal King in The Last Blade. I thought he was good as I thought he was good as Hannibal King. Actually, I thought he actually worked.
Oh, I know. I thought he was great. I'm just saying he was in both of those movies.
Yeah.
He was in the Wolverine Origins, so.
So here's the one that I think is the winner. I've picked this particular email, this one email, as the winner. And I still don't know that this deal could work, but I find it the most intriguing. Jared Wagner, congratulations, you're a winner, Jared, writes this. He wrote, "This deal is contingent on the notion that Hugh Jackman really is finished as Wolverine." Because it looks like after X-Men Days of Future Past, it sounds like Hugh Jackman is going to be retiring from it. Marvel sends Ant-Man, Black Widow, Hawkeye, and Black Panther to Fox. Fox, in return, reboots X-Men without Wolverine and sends the Canuck, Wolverine, to Marvel to reboot into the Marvel Universe with a new actor playing Wolverine. Wolverine becomes a little bit of an unknown commodity without Jackman, and Fox gets a lot of new properties. For Marvel, the potential of adding a Wolverine to the Avenger universe has huge potential upside. What do you think? I'm telling you, Jared, I like this deal. I generally don't like the idea for Fox having to do X-Men rebooted without their most popular character, Wolverine. But like Schnepp was saying, the X-Men universe is so huge and so vast. There's so many different things they can do with a rebooted X-Men. And you're giving up, okay, Hawkeye. Yeah, but he's never had his own standalone. Black Widow's never had his own standalone, but has potential. Black Panther, which we've already talking about having really good potential. And Ant-Man as well. I think if you're Fox, you're having to reboot X-Men anyway. You're getting a lot of really good potential pieces in all those characters. And if you're Marvel, like the crowning jewel of this deal is obviously Wolverine. So if you're Marvel, you're getting the crowning jewel who you could slip into their universe no problem without mentioning that he's a mutant. I still don't know that you could do this. But out of all the ones I read, I think this one has the most potential. Schnepp, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. It has the most potential. You could separate Wolverine from the X-Men. It'd be sad to see all those other Marvel characters go into their own individual, none of these other characters can interact with me universe. That's what's the best part of the Marvel Disney universe, is that all these characters can interact. So obviously what everybody wants, even though Ghost Rider and Black Panther, Ghost Rider and Daredevil weren't big hits or whatever, it's cool to know that they could possibly show up in the Avengers, or they could show up in S.H.I.E.L.D., the TV series. So I don't know. I mean, that is, of all of the trade questions, I think that is the winner. So rock on, Jared.
Folks, so our winner is Jared Wagner. Congratulations, Jared.
Yay,
We're going to be sending you off a Iron Man 3 poster. All right, folks, well, listen, it is time for Mailbag. Listen, if you've got a topic or a question you would like us to address on air, you can email us your question anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. We get lots of questions from you guys every day, and every day we pick a bunch out of the mailbag. Jenna's got a few pulled out. So, Jenna, what do we got?
Sarah C. writes, "Hi, guys. I must say that I am in love with your show. I pretty much agree all the time with John Campia's ideas and answers, and I think Amy Rose Eisenbach is awesome. Well, all of you are awesome. Well, thanks, Sarah. I was wondering if someday there could be a movie or even the remake of the series V, 1984 to 85. I love that show. My questions are, 1, are you also a fan? And 2, would it be a great idea for a remake, even if it might be for the next 15 to 50 years? I have to live to see the remake. LOL. Thoughts?"
I loved the original TV like series. I was a young kid when that was on, but that was our first real look at Robert Englund, who of course went on to become famous as Freddy. But he was kind of the geek alien, and the first time on TV when they showed like one of the visitors eating one of the mice, it was like, ah! Like that. Yeah. That traumatized me as a kid. It should be
jaw disconnected.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there were those lizards, and then one of them mated with a human. It's like, oh my gosh, what's the baby going to look like? It was crazy.
John, don't forget Sybil Danning was in that too.
That's
don't
right.
Forget about her.
And who was the guy who played Beastmaster? Was also in it.
Mark Singer.
That's right, Mark Singer, who was Beastmaster. But don't forget, I believe it was ABC. Dennis, correct me if I'm wrong. ABC did reboot it. They did do a new V series just recently that I think is now canceled. I think it lasted 2 seasons, maybe.
It's totally canceled.
Totally canceled. Not just a little canceled.
Totally.
Yeah, it's totally canceled.
Completely canceled. I think there's movie potential here. I do. I think there's a lot of story to tell, but I think you could do a pretty decent V movie, although it'll look a lot like Independence Day in many ways. So you got to figure out a way around that. But I think it could work. Schnepp, what do you think?
I just say combine your efforts with Roland Emmerich and make like Independence Day versus V or something, you know?
Independence Day versus V.
Yeah, I mean, they're making, what, 2 more Independence Days. Just chuck the V ships in there and those reptiles is like a weird, like, those stupid alien creatures, like, what's happening? And then the lizards jump and attack them. I don't know.
Somebody,
yeah, I think in 50 years. Yeah.
Somebody.
I think in 50 years we're going to be V is already going to be real, so we won't even need to see the movie.
Somebody, one of you guys who are watching this, email me a poster that you make of V versus Independence Day. I want to see that. All right, what's next?
Yeah.
Garrett P. writes, by now many of us have seen Iron Man 3. I won't put spoilers here, but there is a major plot point that is apparently very different from the comic books. How do you guys feel about adaptations taking a different direction than the source material? For Iron Man 3, I didn't know the comic story, so I actually enjoyed the movie more because of how that storyline played out. As a huge fan of the Harry Potter books, though, I would have been livid if they completely changed the story and endings. Movies definitely need to stand on their own 2 feet, but I can't completely decide how critical it is to stay true to certain aspects of the story from the source material.
It's a great question, and it's a kind of a different twist on a question we get a lot from. Like, we often get the question, stay close to the source material, and you're asking from a little bit of a different point of view. The plot point, we won't reveal it entirely, yeah, but I said in my review of Iron Man 3, there's a big plot twist that for me worked, but I already know in advance a lot of the hardcore comic fans are going to be upset about. But you mentioned Harry Potter, and here's the difference. Harry Potter is one set of books, period. And that is the story. There's not 18 different versions of the Harry Potter story. There's not, they changed Harry Potter's background 8 times. There's not, Hermione was, they changed her character 4 different times over 50 years. It's none of that. Whereas in the comic books, it's different. The comic books are not a very continuity, hard-lined entity. I remember Bryan Singer, when he was coming out with Superman Returns, somebody asked him, hey, they asked him at Comic-Con, why did you decide to change the Superman costume? And Bryan Singer said, great answer. He said, change it from what? What's the Superman costume? Are you talking about the 1954 to 1957 version of the Superman comic? Are you talking about the 1963 to the 1968 version of the Superman costume? Are you talking about the 1970s version of the Superman costume where we had this, this, and this? Are you talking about the 1980s version of the Superman costume? Blah, blah. So he said, what changed it from what? Every incarnation of Superman has had a little bit of a different costume, so it's different. In like the Mandarin himself has been portrayed differently at different times in the comics. So what is the Mandarin really? I've always said the most important thing is keep the core essential elements to who the characters are, but especially when talking about a vast, vast universe like the comic book world, I just basically mean that for your main characters. I love, without giving too much away, I loved the twist. I know a lot of people, some people didn't. Fact of the matter is, you read in the comments, if you just read the comments in these chat boards, you think that everybody hates Iron Man. Iron Man 3, nah. It's got a 78% critic rating, which is fantastic. It's got an 85% audience rating, which means if you didn't like Iron Man 3, that's totally cool. All film is subjective. That's awesome that you have that opinion of it. But you have to acknowledge that the vast, vast majority of us disagree with you. A lot of us loved it. We loved what they did. I liked what they did with the Mandarin without revealing what it was, because I thought it was great for the movie. And the most important thing, I've always said this, I will continue to say it, and I will always go on saying it, is make the best movie. Being true to source material is not the #1 concern. Do what is best for the movie, and for my money, Shane Black made a kick-ass, fun, entertaining movie. That's just my opinion. Yours may be different, and that's cool. Schnepp, what are your thoughts on all this?
Well, you nailed a bunch of them. I think, yeah, the 50 years of different interpretations and storylines is key to any comic book adaptation. You're picking and choosing certain aspects and changing other ones, and it's a movie. It's an interpretation. Without doing any spoilers, I thought the whole thing with the Mandarin, and here's an anti-spoiler, the Mandarin is a woman. It's the Womandarin.
The Womandarin.
Womandarin is the big spoiler of the movie that's not real. I'm making it up. But it's like, it's that kind of thing. Like, if it was revealed that the Mandarin was really a woman, half the, all the comic super like continuity and those people would freak out and instantly hate the movie. I loved the twist. I thought it was hilarious, inventive, refreshing, and funny. And I mean, eventually we'll be able to talk about this, but since it's still like a week out, we don't want to ruin it for people who haven't seen it yet. Like, I finally saw Iron Man 3.
After Finland.
That's all I got to say.
All right.
Kenny W. writes, hey, I've been watching AMC Movie Talk on YouTube every day, and I think you guys are the best on talking about movies. No one else can touch you. My question is that I read recently that The Rock wants a part in the new Star Wars movies. Do you think he should be in those movies or not?
It's funny you mentioned that, Kenny. I read that myself. I actually heard that The Rock really wants to be in Star Wars movies. Now, I've said before, I think you can put The Rock in anything, and it instantly becomes a more fun movie. Mm-hmm. That being said, I don't know that The Rock is a good fit. He's awesome, but I don't know that The Rock is a fit for Star Wars. Like, I'm going to embarrass myself here. I can just see it now. After the opening crawl, the camera pans down into a desert, and you see a lone figure standing there in a black hood. He pulls it off, raises the eyebrow, and says, "Can you smell what the Sith is cooking?" You do that, you sold 1 million tickets, but I don't think it's right for the Star Wars universe. I love The Rock, but I don't think it works. Schnepp, what about you? You think The Rock could have a role or a place in Star Wars?
I think most definitely. I mean, after the Clone Wars, where George Lucas cast all these known, like Sam Jackson's in the Clone Wars, why can't The Rock be in the new Star Wars? I think there's going to be a bunch of celebrity little, I think J.J. Abrams is going to cast different well-known actors. Why not give The Rock a cameo or make him a Sith? Or I don't know. I don't think he would be played as The Rock. I think he would do a real good job as an actual actor and a character. He wants to be part of Star Wars. I don't know. There's a bunch of other actors who got a chance to do it. Why not him? I say go for it.
All right.
Ali Stewart writes, hi from Northern Ireland. Love the show. It's like my daily hangout with fellow movie geeks. With Paramount announcing Tom Cruise will star in Mission Impossible 5 and the likely director being Christopher McQuarrie, who worked with him on Jack Reacher. Also, with Iron Man 3 starring Robert Downey Jr. and being directed by somebody he had worked with before, Shane Black, on Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, do you think that the movie star, who is also a producer, being able to select the director that they want is good for movies? I'm worried about Hollywood adapting a direct by numbers approach and a possible negative effect on the integrity of the position of directors.
I think that's a great question, Ali, but I think it's also important to keep in mind, you point out, your question didn't ask, is it important for stars to select the directors as opposed to stars who are also the producers on the film? Look, we talked a little bit about Tom Cruise. He's not just the actor in Mission Impossible. He's kind of the force behind the Mission Impossible stuff. He's, right from day one, he's been the producer of this franchise. This has kind of been his thing. And it is appropriate for the producer of a movie, whether he's the star in it also or not, it is appropriate for the producer of a movie to be the one to select the director. That is appropriate. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think it works. Also, the relationship between, I've done some directing. I know Schnepp has obviously done a lot of directing. The relationship between the director and the actor is incredibly important. That chemistry is really, really important. That's why you see guys like Martin Scorsese going back to a Robert De Niro or to a Leonardo DiCaprio all the time. That's why you see guys like Tim Burton always going back to Johnny Depp. That's why you see a lot of these pairings happen, because that chemistry is vitally important. So them bringing Shane Black on to do Iron Man 3, I thought was genius because, number one, he's a great writer, he's a great director, and we already know he's got great working chemistry with the star of the film. To me, it's a no-brainer. I don't think that creates, I understand why you're asking the question. I think it's a good question to ask, but I don't think it creates that a direct by numbers kind of approach at all whatsoever. But much like the sports world, I don't think the star player on a basketball team should be the one should have any power or influence over who the next coach is. And I don't think just somebody who's a star in a film should have the power to say who they want as director. I think the role of the director has to be the final voice on a set, which is why I would never direct a Sylvester Stallone movie, because obviously he's the guy in charge. But yeah, I think it works fine. I think the scenarios that you've presented are totally cool. And yeah, you do got to keep your eye open for those other extreme examples. But for these ones, I think it works. Schnepp, what do you think?
Yeah, I think if the star and the director have a good chemistry and work together really well and bring the positive aspects of each other's, abilities out, I think it's a go. It's like, especially if the star or the director is the producer. Usually it's the producer director who's hiring the star that they like to work with. Why not have the star also be the producer and hire the director that they had so much fun with and were able to like get certain aspects of their ability to act out the way they wanted to because they have a good relationship with the director. I think it's all positive. How can it be negative? I mean, that's how I look at it.
All right.
Okay, I can't wait to hear you guys' answer on this one. Brian Mahoney writes, great show, watch it all the time. You are starting a movie studio. Now you can sign any one male actor or any one female actor. The fate of your studio depends on this signing. Who would you sign?
All right, I'll start this one off. Here, okay, so if I'm the head of a studio and I get to sign one lead female actor, one lead male actor to my studio for the next 10 years, whatever. Okay, here's where I'm going to go. I believe Jessica Chastain is the best actress in Hollywood today. However, I would not pick her. Jessica's about 35, and if I'm thinking not just for now, but for longer term, I'm going to go with the slightly younger Anne Hathaway. I think Hathaway is obviously an Academy Award-winning actress. She's wonderful. She's beautiful. She's about 5 years younger. I think she's 30 years old right now, which means I've got a bunch more years. So if I'm thinking people I need to sign for 10 or 15 years, then I'm going to go with Anne Hathaway. I think she gives me the most versatility and the most talent for bang for my buck. So I'm going to go with her. For male lead actor, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He's still young. We've seen him do like action stuff like that one bike movie where he's like a courier. That was a lot better of a film than I thought it was going to be. We've seen him do drama. We've seen him do comedy. He can sing. He can dance. He can do it all. I go with Joseph Gordon-Levitt because he also, again, he's like 31 years old. He's got a lot of years in front of him still. So I'm going to be able to go to the bank with this guy for a long time to come. So if I'm starting a studio, I get to sign 2 actors. I'm going to sign Anne Hathaway. Not necessarily that I think she's the best in Hollywood right now, but I'm going to go with her for those reasons. And for the same reasons, I'm going to go with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Schnepp, what about you? You start running a conglomeration. You merge Paramount and Disney and Universal together. You're running that studio. You can hire 2 performers to be with you for the next 10 to 15 years. Who do you sign?
All right. Actress would be Scarlett Johansson. I think she's incredibly versatile and beautiful and funny. So she has all the star qualities that you need. She's a great actress. So she'd be the female. I had to take, originally I was thinking Morgan Freeman, but he's too old.
Yeah.
I was thinking possibly Nicolas Cage, but he's just a little bit too old. So I might have to go with you know what? Maybe Scarlett Johansson and Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh, you go 2 female.
No males. No males, just 2 amazing female lead actresses, and all the males are just unknowns.
So you're just going to reboot Thelma and Louise and then make sequels to it for the next 15 years.
Buddy cop films, but with chicks, Scarlett Johansson, Jennifer Lawrence, and then like the Heat, but younger versions. I'm just going to make female-driven comedies with Jennifer Lawrence and Scarlett Johansson and just unknown dudes. So that's what I'm rocking.
All right. I like your studio. All right, folks, listen, we've gone way over time. Thanks so much for joining us. But listen, before you do anything else, stop what you're doing and click that subscribe button. Become a subscriber to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It'll keep you up to date on everything going on in the world of movie news, as well as our daily AMC Movie Talk show. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AMC Theaters. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/AMC Theaters. And go on out and see a movie tonight. Go on over to www.amctheaters.com for all your theater, showtime, and movie ticket information. If you want an audio-only version of this episode, look in the description of this video and you'll find links to our iTunes and our Stitcher Radio so you can listen to us on your way to work or while you're running on the treadmill or whatever. I want to thank, as always, the lovely Jenna Phillips.
Thanks, guys.
The one and the only, the all-powerful Mr. John Schnepp.
Hey, I would like to say I'd like to do a moment of silence for the amazing Ray Harryhausen.
Right, I just read that this morning.
Master animator who passed away today. So if you've never seen a Ray Harryhausen stop-motion action amazing film, one of any of the Sinbad films that he did, Clash of the Titans, do yourself a favor this week and see a Ray Harryhausen film. I'll miss him. I'm going to send you guys a photo of me and Ray Harryhausen if you want to put it up. He was my first hero when I was a little kid. the Cyclops, from the Jason, from the Sinbad, Seventh Voyage of Sinbad.
Jason and the Argonauts.
Yeah, all those films were like really impactful for me as a kid. And when I found out it was a guy making them, I bought every book that was all about Ray Harryhausen, and he helped me get into special effects. So I really am really saddened to hear about his passing today. So do yourself a favor and check out Ray Harryhausen's work.
Awesome. Thanks, John. And listen, guys, most of all, thank you to you guys. Listen, what we have to say in this show is irrelevant. The most important part is what you have to say. Make sure you jump down to the comment section of this video and leave your thoughts on any or all the topics that we discussed here today. So until tomorrow, my name is John Campea for AMC Movie News. And until then, bye-bye.